Have you ever wondered how many anime legends are hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to watch them absolutely free? In an age of endless streaming wars, it feels almost forbidden to find treasures from another era still open to all. From cyberpunk nightmares to nostalgic coming-of-age odysseys, these are 11 legal free-to-watch anime classics now streaming on YouTube, Tubi, and RetroCrush. Number 11, Galaxy Express 99, 1978. Before space travel became sleek and corporate, Galaxy Express 99 turned it into a dream of sorrow and stars. Directed by Rintaro and based on Leiji Matsumoto's visionary manga, this series follows a poor boy named Tetsuro who boards a cosmic locomotive bound for Andromeda. His companion Matel is mysterious, her eyes holding the sadness of centuries. Together, they pass through frozen worlds, robotic societies, and dying suns, each stop revealing a moral fable about humanity and immortality. When it aired, it wasn't just science fiction, it was philosophy in motion. Japan's young viewers saw in it a mirror to their own economic anxieties as automation replaced workers and society worshipped machines. Some broadcasters even complained that its tone was too dark for children, its message too existential. Parents' groups demanded cuts, but fans defended it as poetic allegory. Behind the scenes, production delays nearly derailed the project. Matsumoto pushed for every planet to have its own cultural design, while Rintaro fought sponsors who wanted more action, less sadness. Yet the melancholy remained, and over decades it became the heartbeat of the Leijiverse, influencing everything from Interstellar 5555 to Cowboy Bebop. Today, Galaxy Express 99 is streaming legally on RetroCrush and Tubi. Its journey feels eternal, a slow train through time, reminding us that progress always comes with a price, and dreams can be both beautiful and tragic. Number 10. Urusei Yatsura, 1981. When Urusei Yatsura premiered, it looked like a simple comedy about a lecherous teenager and an alien girl in a tiger-striped bikini. What it really was controlled chaos. Rumiko Takahashi's series exploded with surreal humor, cultural satire, and wild imagination. It mocked everything from Japanese television to traditional marriage to the very idea of romantic destiny. At first, many networks hesitated to broadcast it. The humor was too anarchic, the heroine too bold. Some stations cut entire episodes, claiming it encouraged disrespect toward authority. But the show's strange blend of slapstick and emotion created an unstoppable cult following. Teenagers repeated its catchphrases in school halls, while critics debated whether it was genius or madness. Behind the curtain, the production team worked like rebels. Director Mamoru Oshii, later famous for Ghost in the Shell, pushed the boundaries of TV animation using avant-garde framing and dream logic. His clash with producers became legendary, yet his vision made the series timeless. Decades later, Urusei Yatsura inspired countless romantic comedies and helped shape anime's global sense of humor. The original series is now streaming for free on YouTube, and Tubi proving that chaos can be art and that laughter can be a weapon against conformity. Watching it today feels like returning to a world where imagination ran wild and every punchline hit a little rebellion. Number 9. Space Adventure, Cobra, 1982. Few anime captured the sheer wildness of pulp science fiction like Space Adventure Cobra. Directed by Osamu Dezaki and based on Buichi Terasawa's manga, this cosmic outlaw tale told of Cobra, a cigar-chomping rogue who awakens from memory erasure to find he was once the galaxy's most wanted hero. Armed with his iconic psycho gun, Cobra plunges into a galaxy of space pirates, artificial goddesses, and interplanetary wars. When it first aired in Japan, it wasn't treated as a kid's show. It was too violent, too surreal, and too seductive. Broadcasters feared its blend of noir aesthetics and adult tone would alienate families. Yet that risk gave it power. The imagery was psychedelic space rendered in dreamlike color, washes, and swirling light. Dezaki used his signature postcard freeze frames and soft focus to create a feverish sense of grandeur. Every episode looked painted in starlight, Behind the scenes, production chaos nearly broke the studio. The series was made during an era when Japanese animation was still hand-drawn on a punishing schedule. Dazaki's insistence on cinematic framing and layered motion pushed animators to exhaustion. Sponsors wanted more merchandise-friendly storylines, but the director refused to compromise. He wanted Cobra to feel like an intergalactic Humphrey Bogart film. Censors worried about its mature imagery and cosmic violence, so several countries refused broadcast. Still, fans traded copies through underground circles in Europe and Latin America. Over time, its reputation grew, and its tone influenced everything from Cowboy Bebop to Guardians of the Galaxy. Today, Space Adventure Cobra streams freely on RetroCrush and YouTube, a restored relic from an era when anime dared to dream beyond reason. Watching it feels like riding a bullet through the cosmos, guided by a hero who laughs in the face of destiny. Number 8. Kimagure, Orange Road, 1987. In the neon glow of late 80s, Tokyo Kimagure Orange Road arrived as a whisper of nostalgia and chaos. This romantic dramedy about teenage love telekinesis and heartbreak captured an entire generation. Kyosuke Kasuga seemed like a normal high school boy, but he and his family possessed psychic powers they had to hide from the world. His crush on the radiant Madoka Ayukawa and his entanglement with her best friend Hikaru became a timeless love triangle that defined 80s anime romance. At release, it was hailed for its fresh tone, sweet but melancholic, magical, yet grounded. However, some broadcasters found its themes of adolescent confusion and emotional intensity unsettling. Critics accused it of glamorizing rebellion and sadness. Its psychic subplot was seen by conservative groups as unwholesome fantasy, encouraging escapism over discipline. The show even faced threats of removal from a few local channels. Behind the scenes, production was unusually personal. Creator Izumi Matsumoto based the mood on his own youth and regrets. The series' soundtrack blended synth-pop and city soul, creating one of the most nostalgic soundscapes in anime history. Yet tragedy haunted its legacy. Matsumoto suffered from a chronic illness that ended his career early, and fans later treated the show as his bittersweet farewell to adolescence. Though it vanished from mainstream discussion in the 90s, it never truly died. Fans preserved it through fan clubs and remastered releases. Now streaming legally on Tubi, and RetroCrush Kimagure Orange Road feels timeless, a snapshot of Japan's bubble-era optimism where every sunset carried a secret promise and every broken heart glowed under the city lights. Number 7. Project Eiko, 1986. Imagine a parody so bold it became legend. Project Eiko was chaos turned cinematic. Directed by Katsuhiko Nishijima, this film exploded onto the screen with schoolgirls, superpowers, aliens, and more explosions than most action movies. At first glance, it looked like pure comedy, but beneath the absurdity, it hid a sharp commentary on anime culture itself. Released at the height of the VHS boom, Project Eiko was one of the first anime made specifically for home video audiences who craved something outrageous. Its story follows Eiko, a superhuman high school girl, and her rival Biko, a genius heiress obsessed with defeating her. Their battles destroy cities, while the innocent Seiko gets caught between them. The energy never stops. Yet controversy surrounded it from the start. Distributors worried it was too chaotic, too strange to market overseas. Critics dismissed it as brainless parody, while fans praised it as brilliant satire. Its humor referenced dozens of other anime from Macross to Fist of the North Star, sometimes within seconds. Western censors struggled to label it, and several countries released it only in limited form. Behind the curtain, the creators had fun breaking every rule. The film was animated on a shoestring budget, yet looked dazzling because of its fast editing and dramatic poses. Production was so rushed that staff members reportedly slept in the studio, but their exhaustion turned into art. Today, Project Eiko is freely available on Tubi and RetroCrush, fully restored from its original film reels. Watching it now is like opening a time capsule of unfiltered creativity. It stands as proof that sometimes parody becomes prophecy, and laughter can outlast logic itself. Number 6. Vampire Hunter D, 1985. Long before the world discovered anime through streaming, there was one name whispered in the dark halls of fandom. Vampire Hunter D, directed by Toyo Ashida and based on Hideyuki Kikuchi's Gothic novels, this was the film that defined the words dark fantasy. It told of a lone half-human, half-vampire wanderer, known only as D, hired to rescue a girl from an ancient blood-sucking noble. But nothing in its world was simple. The wastelands were haunted by science gone mad and monsters that blended technology with nightmare. When it was released, it didn't fit any category. Too violent for children, too elegant for exploitation. Japanese critics were divided. Some saw it as pulpy and strange, while others hailed it as visionary. But what truly made it controversial was its blending of horror romance and post-apocalyptic futurism. It was Japan's answer to a European Gothic novel wrapped in cyberpunk. Censors in several countries hesitated to approve its release. American distributors in the late 80s debated whether audiences were ready for such a haunting animated world. Yet the underground loved it. Bootleg VHS tapes circulated at conventions, spreading whispers of its strange beauty. Its atmosphere became iconic: the windswept plains, the desolate castles, and D's quiet tragedy. Behind the scenes, the animation team worked with limited resources, but endless imagination. Yoshitaka Amano's ethereal designs elevated every frame to art. His delicate lines turned monsters into sculptures of sadness and D into a tragic myth. Over time, its influence seeped through pop culture, inspiring creators from Castlevania to Bloodborne. Now streaming freely on Tubi and RetroCrush, Vampire Hunter D remains timeless, a film born of moonlight and melancholy. It reminds us that horror can be poetry, and silence can scream louder than words. Number 5. Bubblegum Crisis, 1987. Before cyberpunk became fashion, before Blade Runner clones filled the airwaves, there was Bubblegum Crisis, a neon opera of mecha battles and music rebellion. Directed by Katsuhiro Akiyama and produced by Artmic, this 8-part OVA followed the Night Sabers, 4 vigilante women who fought rogue robots in the dystopian sprawl of Mega Tokyo. Each wore sleek exosuits and carried hearts scarred by loss. Upon release, it felt revolutionary. The animation was cinematic, the soundtrack electric. But controversy followed instantly. Some networks refused to air it, claiming it glorified violence and feminism. The sight of female heroes smashing corrupt corporations unsettled conservative audiences. Sponsors dropped out halfway through, forcing the production team to fund episodes through fan mail and music sales. Behind the scenes was chaos. 2 studios, Artmic and Umex, clashed over money and direction, leading to lawsuits that eventually killed the series. What survived was unfinished brilliance. Yet even in its fragmented form, Bubblegum Crisis became a symbol of artistic freedom. Its mixture of rock music and cybernetic despair inspired Ghost in the Shell and even The Matrix decades later. Critics initially dismissed it as noisy eye candy, but fans knew better. They saw 4 women standing against a decaying city and found strength in their defiance. Today, Bubblegum Crisis streams legally on Tubi and RetroCrush fully restored. Its future may be fictional, but its fire is real. Every synth chord, every spark of neon is a battle cry against conformity, reminding us that rebellion can be beautiful when it burns bright enough to light the ruins. Number 4. Golgo 13. The Professional, 1983. Cold, ruthless, and hypnotic. Golgo 13 is a legend that walks without remorse. Based on Takao Saito's long-running manga, this film adaptation followed Duke Togo, the world's most dangerous assassin. In a time before anime hit global fame, Golgo 13 proved that Japanese animation could match Hollywood's intensity and surpass it in moral complexity. When it hit theaters, the shockwaves were immediate. The film opened with a high-profile assassination scene so realistic that some theaters refused to show it. Critics in Japan called it dangerous, glorifying professional murder. Western distributors debated cutting key scenes, but fans demanded authenticity. Its use of early computer graphics, the first in anime, created a sense of eerie precision. Production was ambitious. Director Osamu Dezaki wanted the film to feel like a fever dream of sin and consequence. Every shadow hid betrayal, every bullet carried philosophy. The voice acting was subdued, almost ritualistic, turning Duke Togo into a myth rather than a man. Controversy came from everywhere. Religious groups condemned its portrayal of corruption in global politics, while government officials complained that it made Japan look too cynical. But audiences were mesmerized by its artistry. Even critics who hated its coldness admitted it had vision. Behind the scenes, Dezaki faced brutal schedules and censorship threats, but he refused to dilute it. The result was a masterpiece that redefined anime's boundaries. Today, Golgo 13. The Professional streams legally on RetroCrush and Tubi, uncut and unapologetic. Watching it now feels like entering a cathedral of steel and silence where morality fades and precision rules. It endures as one of the boldest assassins ever animated, a ghost who reminds us that perfection can be the most dangerous weapon of all. Number 3. Akira, 1988. When Akira exploded onto screens in the late 80s, it changed everything. Directed by Katsuhiro Otomo, it was more than a film, it was a prophecy. Set in Neo-Tokyo after a mysterious explosion destroyed the city, the story followed Kaneda and Tetsuo, two teenage friends caught in a cycle of violence, government control, and psychic awakening. It was raw and relentless, a film about power and its corruption, the end of civilization wrapped in flashing lights and steel ruins. At first, many critics didn't know how to describe it. It wasn't a cartoon, and it wasn't traditional cinema. It was something else, a fusion of punk anger, cyberpunk despair, and spiritual tragedy. Japanese audiences were stunned, but Western viewers were overwhelmed. The film's violence and imagery led to age restrictions in several countries. Some theaters refused to screen it entirely. Parents' groups called it nihilistic and anarchic, while others hailed it as visionary. Behind the scenes, Otomo demanded perfection. Every scene was hand-painted with over 160,000 animation cells, an unheard-of number at the time. The lip sync was done before recording the dialogue, breaking every rule of anime production. Studios nearly went bankrupt funding its massive budget, but Otomo refused compromise. The result was historic, the first anime film that proved Japanese animation could compete with live-action cinema worldwide. Akira's influence reshaped pop culture. Hollywood directors cited it as inspiration for The Matrix and Inception. Musicians sampled its soundtrack. Artists imitated its neon-drenched apocalypse. But what makes it immortal isn't just style. It's the emotion beneath the chaos. Tetsuo's fall from boy to god feels terrifyingly human. Now streaming free on Tubi, Akira remains untamed. It's not just a film. It's a warning whispered through time about what happens when power grows faster than humanity's heart. Number 2. Ghost in the Shell, 1995. Few films have blurred the line between machine and soul as hauntingly as Ghost in the Shell. Directed by Mamoru Oshii and adapted from Masamune Shiro's manga, it followed Major Motoko Kusanagi, a cybernetic government agent searching for a mysterious hacker known as the Puppet Master. Yet the real mystery lay within herself. What is a ghost when the shell is artificial? What remains of identity when memory can be rewritten? Upon release, it was considered too slow, too cerebral for mainstream audiences. But those who watched it saw genius. The Japanese government questioned its philosophical content, fearing it was too politically charged. Some distributors asked Oshii to tone down the religious imagery, but he refused. He wanted to make a meditation on consciousness disguised as a thriller. Behind the scenes, the production pushed technology to its limits. Oshii used a hybrid of digital and hand-drawn animation years before it became standard. The haunting choral score mixed ancient Japanese chants with futuristic sound design, creating an atmosphere of sacred dread. The team battled deadlines and exhaustion, yet produced a film that changed science fiction forever. Western audiences discovered it through VHS and word of mouth. Critics in Europe compared it to Blade Runner and Tarkovsky, while American fans embraced it as a cult revelation. Its philosophical questions about humanity and technology continue to echo through modern media. Now legally streaming on Tubi, and RetroCrush Ghost in the Shell feels eerily relevant. In a world where artificial intelligence blurs human identity, it's no longer a fantasy. It's a mirror. Watching Major Kusanagi drift through rain-soaked cities, we're forced to ask the same question she does. Number 1. Grave of the Fireflies, 1988. There are films that entertain, and there are films that break you. Grave of the Fireflies does both. Directed by Isao Takahata and produced by Studio Ghibli, it tells the story of Seita and Setsuko, two siblings struggling to survive after the firebombing of Kobe during the Second World War. It's not fantasy, it's truth turned into poetry. Every ember, every tear feels painfully real. When it was released, it stunned Japan. Some critics called it too dark for animation, others said it was necessary. The film refused sentimentality. It showed the cost of war through a child's eyes with quiet honesty. Audiences left theaters in silence, unable to speak. Censors debated whether to warn viewers about its emotional weight, but Takahata refused to soften it. He wanted viewers to feel the war, not just watch it. Behind the scenes, Ghibli's animators worked in grief. Many had parents who survived the war and saw their own memories mirrored in the film. The studio released it as a double feature with My Neighbor Totoro, joy and despair side by side. Western audiences discovered it years later, often mistaking it for a children's film, before realizing it was one of the most devastating works ever made. No film better demonstrates animation's power to move the human soul. There are no heroes, no villains, only hunger and hope. The fireflies that light the night are both spirits and symbols of life's fragile beauty. Today, Grave of the Fireflies streams legally on Tubi and RetroCrush for free. But watching it costs something. It leaves you changed. It reminds us that history isn't just remembered through dates, but through the stories of those who never got to tell theirs. 12 stories, 12 visions. All born in the heart of anime's golden age, now free for anyone to rediscover. Each carries its scars and its brilliance. Which one will you watch first? Tell us in the comments below. And if you love unearthing forgotten masterpieces, subscribe for more journeys through the shadows of anime history.